Hey folks, it's Arleman. Welcome to part one of my, well, I don't know how many parts it's going to be, multi-part tutorial for Mobius Final Fantasy. This is a card-based gacha game that has been out on mobile devices for 2 years in Japan, 1 year in the US, and has recently come to PC on Steam. So I started making a tutorial video early this morning and it ended up being incredibly long. So to save your sanity and my sanity, I'm going to break it up into small pieces. So if you're new to the game, I highly recommend you watch the guide I posted this morning regarding re-rolling your characters to maximize your cards at the beginning of the game. Like most gacha games, when you start the game, it gives you a plethora of resources in which to pull your items. In this game, your abilities are determined by cards that are selected at random. So by re-rolling, you can increase your chances of getting really good cards. Because it is random, it's entirely possible you can start the game, roll a bunch of garbage cards, and be, playing with a handicap for a while. So check that guide out. So today's guide is going to be understanding the user interface. The game does not really do a really good job of showing you how things work, so it is my job to show you how things actually work. So Mobius Final Fantasy is divided into two basic screen types. You have navigation and you have combat. That's basically the flow of battle. Up here in the upper right, you will see the stamina bar, character level. Since it is a free-to-play game, your movement on the map, each movement requires stamina. That's your currency that regenerates over time. As you increase your levels, you increase your stamina. So you can't, in the beginning of the game, you can sit down and play for hours, and every time you gain levels, your stamina bar fills up again. So once you get to like the level 60, level 50 to level 60, that slows down significantly. But that's where that mechanic is. Over here you have your gil. Gil is used for items in the shop, and I'll show you that in a minute. This number down here is your magicite. Magicite is an in-game currency that is purchased in the shop with real money. It is a free-to-play game, so this is their cash shop. However, magicite can also drop from enemies in the game. While you can only obtain a total of 20,000 magicite from drops, it is counted independently of any magicite you purchase. Below this, you'll see this gauge. This is your magicite gauge, and what this does is that over time, as it says here, in 16 hours and 28 minutes, 12 seconds, this bar will go from 1 to 100. You can then click on the button and claim all of that magicite. If it hits 100, any additional potential magicite is lost. So always kind of keep an eye on this bar because it's basically free money. I can click it right now and you see it'll add that 1 up there, and it extends the timer by another 10 minutes. I think it's 1 every 10 minutes. Okay, so on the navigation screen, as you see here, since I am on PC, I can double tap and zoom in and out. Alright. I'm in an area of the game called the Chaos Vortex, and this is what I'm going to use to show you some combat in another video, but this area is good for practice because it does not consume any stamina. However, you don't get any rewards either. So each one of these nodes are, as you can see, they're fairly large-sized red circles. As you play through the game, you'll have much smaller circles, but the way you get around the map, other than moving from node to node by clicking on them, you can click on teleport, and what that allows you to do is bounce around the map to any large circles that you have already unlocked. So since a lot of the maps have branching paths, you can use that to get to other areas of the map without having to hopscotch and eat up all of your stamina. The little red arrow here actually zeroes in on where your current location is. Some of these maps can be quite large, so it's a handy feature. Alright, so going down to the bottom of the screen, okay, alright, you have the I button, and what this does is this basically brings up your news feed. There are multiple news stories right now. The first anniversary campaign's going on. It's web-based, specifically for the game, but always good to check it out, and generally that's like the first thing that shows up. Alright, the next button is your prize box. Since it is a free-to-play game, you have daily login rewards, and this is where you would claim those items. Alright, the next box is something that a lot of people don't... The game actually doesn't really talk to you about it, but this is the region info box. When you check on it, click on it, it shows you the area, how many of the areas are cleared, how many treasure chests are found, enemies defeated, also if there are any lock routes and any key items that you pick up. Because yes, there is inventory management. This is really important to use as a resource because a lot of these maps, when you play through story mode, you do get rewards based on clearing the chapter, but clearing the chapter does not mean that you've completed the map. You get additional rewards for clearing all spots of the map as well, and I'm talking big prizes for clearing maps. So use this button as kind of a resource of how far you need to go before you can truly say you're finished with a particular map. The next button here is your world map. This will actually unlock as you get further into Chapter 1, and it's a nice little 3D model. You can spin it around. These are the various locations in the game. It's a little bit hard to navigate, so it's easier to click on List View, and it'll tell you where things are. There's a lot of stuff in the game right now. You have multiplayer, which I'll go into in another video. Pleiades Lagoon, which is an area that you go to farm materials to upgrade your deck. A couple of starter areas. There are a lot of the anniversary events going on, so that's what's that there. Since it is a Final Fantasy game, there are a lot of crossovers. Right now we're doing the Final Fantasy XII crossover, which has its own storyline, its own cutscenes, it's its own map and rewards. There have been collaborations for Final Fantasy VII. There will be one for Final Fantasy XIII coming up, which gives you additional jobs from those games. And of course, here are our story chapters. And you can they won't be all available at once. You have to clear a chapter before the next one is available. And as you see, it says cleared in this circle with a checkbox. If you've cleared an area, like here, First Warrior Part 2, I've cleared the area, but I haven't completed the map, so it doesn't have that little checkbox next to it. So this means that the chapter is cleared, but the map has not been cleared. As you see here, it does have the checkbox. That means I've done everything possible in that map. And of course, you have the exploration ruins. These are basically used for experience points and skill seeds. I'll explain skill seeds when I get to the video regarding the anatomy of a deck. And this is a new addition. This is Novice's Hall. This is an area that they've added new to the game as well. Highly recommend when you have access to it, you go to it. It gives you fantastic prizes and a whole bunch of resources with which to upgrade your character. And then Chaos Vortex, which is where we were. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is, we've gone over the bottom bar, I'm going to talk about the side tab bars. Okay, so under the card selection, you have decks. This is where you will put together your decks. You select your job's weapon, and the abilities that they can use. This is where most of the magic happens as far as the strategizing goes, but I will talk about that later. You also have multiplayer decks. These are decks that are, because the amount of decks that you can use are limited, they have allowed you to set decks specifically for use in multiplayer. These are the ones that will be accessible in multiplayer only. Okay. Ability cards is your storage area. This is where all of your cards are stored. Alright, and of course you can display them however you want. You can sort them according to job, level, rarity. That's where that's located. And you have a card bank. In options, you can set to have your card bank have crafting materials. That's what all this stuff is here. Because the cards can be enhanced and upgraded, their statistics can be augmented, their passive abilities can also be changed, so this is kind of where that stuff ends up dropping into. You have the Fusion menu, and Fusion is where you are able to upgrade the abilities of your cards. Auto Enhance is used for pretty much fire and forget for enhancing cards. It just basically, if something shows up, it'll get... I don't really use this very much because with the way cards change, you don't want to run the risk of eating up cards that you may need later. Of course, selling cards. Your inventory space is finite, so sometimes you do have to sell cards. If you sell cards that are obtainable via summon, you see this little ticket symbol. Those are called ability tickets. Not only do you get the monetary cost of the card back, but you get ability tickets. And ability tickets are kind of like your fast pass for rapidly gaining new levels in under-leveled cards. Not actual levels, but increasing your ability level. Alright, and then we have Card Augment. Card Augment allows you to increase the rank of the card. When you get a new card, most of the time they start pretty low, and it's denoted on the cards as the little star. Currently, cards can be increased to rank 5, but that's where you do it under Card Augment, and actually it'll show you, like you see here, I have a rank 4 card here. These are the materials that I would need. You can hold on and it'll show you what you need to increase them. So for this I need three Dark Numas, but I've got 12 of this material, even though I need only 1. I've got 13 of these and I only need 1. And it tells you here that it will go from a rank 4 to a rank 5. Alright. And so that's where that's located. And you have your job cards, and your job cards are basically all of the jobs that you have accessible based on the class. So this is an Onion Knight, and these are all the support and there's a whole bunch of panels. There's a whole bunch of jobs in the game. I think there's like 40 right now, with more in Japan, more coming. And of course your card catalog. Card catalog actually shows you how many of the total available cards in the game you've actually found. So I have just about half of them. I've opened 747 of 1,567 cards. That's a lot of cards. So that's what's all underneath the card tab. Now the social tab, the game allows you to set a profile and put one of your cards up for rent. So I have Ultima up for rent, and you can choose your avatar. These are purchasable via spirit tickets in the shop. I haven't spent any money on these. You get these from achievements and what have you in clearing story chapters. And you can put your character's name and your comment. When you get into combat, you have the option. You have to rent a 5th card, so this is how you would set that up. I'm not going to go into stamps because that'll be a part of multiplayer. You do have a ranking. Every week the ranking is tallied, and you get rewards from the developer based on your ranking in combat. Of course, if you want to specifically look at what your login bonuses are for that week, that's where that is. Special login bonuses if there's an event going on. Like right now it's the anniversary event, so that's where that stuff is. And of course following. When you start renting cards, you have the option of following that player and the card that they have for rent. And what this basically means is that it increases the frequency with which those ability cards show up in your potential rental list. You can have a total of 30, and then when it's full, it won't allow you to add any more, but you can freely go in back and remove them. Alright, so, and then of course you have followers, and these are the people that actually have you on their list for the card you have up for rent. Alright, and of course friend ID search. If you've got a friend that's playing the game, you would put in their customer ID and it would pull them up, and then you could add them to your followers list. It's a neat little feature, but it doesn't really give you any other interaction other than, hey, you can use my card, you know? Alright, so that's it for the social menu, and then we have the shop menu. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the shop menu. We've got the purchase magicite, which is the currency I was telling you about in the game. It does tend to get pretty expensive. Not necessary to play the game at all, but if those of you who like to support these games and want to pay money, that's where you find that option. Mobius Gift Box. These are really good. They're inexpensive. They're 1500 magicite. You play the game for a little bit, you'll get 1500 magicite really easy. When you start the game, you'll start with 1000 anyway. So what the Mobius Gift Box gives you when you first purchase it is you get 6 summon tickets, which is enough for a greater summon of 6 cards. It gives you 20 ability tickets, which allow you to rapidly increase the ability level of any of your cards. A spirit ticket, which is like the avatar skin of your pet, your little flying pet. Elixirs. Elixirs are great because when you use them, they give you an entire stamina bar's worth of stamina on top of what you already have. Phoenix Downs allow you to resurrect in combat if you die. Crystals are necessary for upgrading your job panels and your weapons. Grow stars are a mandatory requirement to upgrade rank 3 stars to rank 4 stars. Extra Ranger and Mog Amulets are nice fusion materials for increasing certain things on your cards. And this is a big one, it gives you a 50% bonus in skill seeds for the 30 days. So think of it like a subscription of like an MMO. Skill seeds are super, super important because they're the currency that allows you to upgrade and unlock abilities and weapons for each individual job. They're also the currency that's used to upgrade and enhance weapons. So very important there. It'll also give you some Metal Cactuar cards, which are fusion materials, Mystic Tablets, which are pretty much the keys to open the bonus areas for resource and XP farming, like bonus areas. So that's where that is. Alright, so the item shop, this is where you can purchase items with magicite. You can purchase cards, which are used for enhancement. You can purchase ability tickets, elixirs, Phoenix Downs. Openers are basically things that allow you to bypass skill seed usage for unlocking job panels. Instead of using the skill seeds, there's a little button that allows you to switch to this particular item. Again, it's based on money. You can buy crystals, tablets, all kinds of stuff. You can even buy gil. Now, gil items, this is stuff that you can buy with your actual money, and for the most part, they're not that great. I mean, they're mainly cosmetic stuff. They've just recently announced some eggs, which are really, really nice ability cards. Growing Egg, for example, gives you a larger experience points boost, what have you, but that's where that stuff's located. Alright, and then we have the ability shop. Now, ability tickets don't just allow you to increase skills, you can actually use them to purchase new cards outright. However, the cost is significantly cheaper if you've already managed to obtain a card. So let's say you roll a card, let's say we get Lunafreya here from Final Fantasy 15. Alright, and for some reason, at the time you didn't think you really needed it, so you sold it. Alright, and you realize later on, oh my god, I can't believe I sold it, how do I get it back? I don't want to have to go through the whole RNG of not getting it again. Relax, go to the ability shop, and there it is, bam, it's 5 tickets, you can buy it again. However, when you buy them, you only buy them, let's go to one of the larger ones. When you buy them, it will actually show you all the ranks of them. So I've never upgraded Lunafreya, so she's actually a base card, so she's 4. But for example, the Palamutian Tail, this card starts at rank 3, but I've increased it to rank 5. So in the ability shop, I can purchase a rank 3, a rank 4, and a rank 5, depending on how many tickets I want to spend. Abilities that you have not obtained, and this is not for every card in the game, these are just for things that are available on the ability shop, like for example, Hell's Gate. I don't have it, I've never rolled it yet, but I can buy it outright for a whopping 53 tickets. So it's entirely up to you, you can sort. And the thing that's cool about this too is that you can use this to purchase supreme cards. If you've already unlocked a supreme card, we can purchase more. Yep. So that is the ability shop. And then here we have, this is where the real deal happens. This is the summon. This is the summon menu. This is how you get new cards, new jobs, new abilities. One of the additions they made to the game was the starter packs, and this actually gives you pretty much a preloaded deck with a specific job and cards designated as great starter cards for those jobs. So you can pick a dragoon, a dancer, or a scholar. Now whichever one you get is random, but once you get it, it doesn't give you a duplicate. So if you roll a dragoon pack, the next time you roll it'll either be a dancer or a scholar, and let's say if you get a scholar, the third time you roll you'll always get the dancer. You can use this a total of 3 times. It's 3 summon tickets or 1500 magicite. Really easy to do, highly recommended for new players. Boosted greater summon is actually where most players are going to be using their tickets, but the reason why this is nice is that you have a chance of drawing a legendary job card or a supreme card. Legendary job cards are incredibly powerful jobs that are Final Fantasy specific. Right now, we like Final Fantasy NPC specific. We have the Battle Mercenary, also known as Squall, and Tonberry. So those are the boosted summons for this month. And supreme cards are basically game-breaking abilities in the game. They're unreal. If you manage to get one, consider yourself incredibly lucky. All right. Card summon just allows you to roll one random ability. You still have a chance of getting a legendary job on a supreme card, but it's 1 card versus 6. So I've never had much luck using this at all. I have had the greatest success with the greater summons. And then the last one is the Gigantar summon. What this allows you to do is that when your friends and strangers rent your card, you get friend tickets and you redeem them here, and they give you Gigantar bulbs, which are necessary for increasing the rank of a card, as well as augment materials that can increase the experience points and other attributes of your cards. So that's what that's for. Okay. Alright. You have Skill Draw, and Skill Draw allows you to pull secondary abilities that you can use in your jobs themselves. We have Boost Weapon. Once you unlock a weapon, you can boost it, and what this does is it allows you to increase the statistics and hopefully unlock new special auto abilities. Spirit Grove allows you to purchase new friends. There's all kinds of them. Okay. And you can expand your card slots, expand your bank, and you can go ahead and use your elixir outright from this menu. Otherwise, it will use it automatically if you try to go to an area that costs more stamina than you have. And the ETC button is just basically your configuration. One thing that's really nice about this game too is that you have a story and theater option, which means you can actually watch all of the cutscenes in the main story. Unfortunately, they did not, because of the memory constraints of mobile devices, they chose not to save the cutscenes of the events. So if you're playing the game, try to make sure you're watching all those cutscenes, because other than YouTube, you're not going to have a chance to watch them again. Alright, so that's basically it for the UI. Next video is going to go into the basics of combat. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this wasn't too long, and I hope that you found it useful.